let's get into it. Like I say, I hopefully this works, and then I really like the idea of us just each week we nominate one of us, we go and find a story, and the other two are kind of shocked by it because we've all read this one as a kind of, we wanted to make sure it was what we wanted to fitted, so we kind of all know what's coming in more than one way. So I'm excited when we kind of don't know that, and there's that fun to it too. But let's get into it.
Okay, so I volunteered as tribute this week, the school.
We saw my attempt last week. To be
Your
fair.
attempt was fine last week. That's the usual book club format, but Skuldner. So what I've done, I'm essentially going to read certain bits in full that I think are very relevant, and do a bit of skippity-skippiting, and I can always skip back if anyone expresses an interest in anything I've paraphrased.
Yep. So again, it's from Literotica.
It's from Literotica.
The title is...
And the story writer's username is Flower of Midnight. So many thanks to them. Not that they will probably ever know about this. It seems like it was written a while ago, but you know what? You never know. So thank you, whoever you are.
Yeah, they have done a really good job. I would say it's a she, I would guess.
Well, we can speculate. Okay, so we cut in very excitingly with the main character on a journey. So, my brothers Thorsten and Sven are angry with me. Our mother has asked me to go to the great midsummer bloat with her this year, and they are to stay here and look after the farm and our little sister. It's not fair, they say. Bjorn is too quiet and shy. He won't enjoy the drinking and the sex. He won't enjoy the sacrifice and the feasting. But she is adamant. She is impressed with the leather work that I've been making. I took it up last winter, making tooled belts and cuffs with runework and other protective symbols for those that travel. So I'm to go with her and set up a stall to sell my work. Who knows, she said. You might even get an apprenticeship or some other opportunity. So I love this beginning. Real world building. I turned 18 this year, and she says that it's about time I saw something of the world. My father has been away at sea off and on since he was 18. Now he trades the cloth that my mother and the other women weave. But my mother knows that I'm not a trader or a fighter, not like my brothers will be. We pack up the cart and take 2 horses and a goat for the bloat sacrifice. The cart is piled up with our goods and gear, and we walk alongside to give the horses a break. It's 3 days we'll be traveling. As we get closer to the magnate's estate, we start to see more and then more people on the road. It's late when we finally arrive, but the sun is still shining in the sky. Midsummer. We find somewhere by the lake to make our camp and leave the horses to rest. We're not too late for the opening parade. Okay.
I think just a few comments on what we've got so far. The midsummer bloat, we know that's a thing, right? That would be a real thing.
Well, I mean, considering the episode we just had, Dan, we know that the midsummer bloat is a thing that is mentioned in the sagas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Whether or not it actually happened, we have no archaeological evidence to say yes or no, but it seems very plausible.
I imagine there would be a lot of drinking and sex.
Absolutely.
Well.
I love that we immediately have a craftsperson fantasy here. So this is
that's
smart, isn't it? Because actually, to me, that is believable. You know, your brothers would be pissed off that they were left behind. But ultimately, this is your mom going, okay, my quiet and more talented child needs an apprenticeship. How can I get him one? I'll take him to the bloat and we'll sell his stuff. It's nice.
And it's also like there's a lot of soft world building here that also places you in like a Viking age setting without it saying as much.
It's not splaining, is it? It's just saying stuff. I love the soft launch.
I think one thing that we didn't mention and probably should have before is this falls into the BDSM category, and the content themes are Vikings, femdom, male sub, romance, first times, young adults, and sex, which for me is important because there's a lot of mention of leather, and I think they have the connotations that fit into those categories.
I was waggling my eyebrows, but with my bangs, you couldn't see it.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So I think that's important because those mentions
the mentions
are kind of
we should
leather.
Yeah, they fit into it.
Yeah. Okay. This is a bit I find
thematically relevant.
Yes, it is dramatically relevant. So, the place is busy with hundreds of people around the Grand Lodge at the center of the estate. The sun is sinking, and in the twilight, we hear the sound of drums and singing. They're coming. This year, the Vulva of Freya are in attendance for the bloat. They will be conducting ceremonies and fertility rites for the feast. I can hear their voices in the distance, strong and loud. It stirs something in me. They beat drums and she comes along the pathway, the vulva, riding a black stallion, surrounded by the young women who chant for her. I'm absorbed into the intensity of it, the singing, the drumming, the hazy light, all the people. I find myself flying up into the air as Raven, soaring into the evening sky. Another Raven joins me and we fly together, swirling and diving in a February dance. It is so wonderful to be so free with another. Suddenly the other Raven gronks loudly, my eyes snap open, and I'm back in the crowd, eyes locked with one of the singers, who is staring directly at me as she walks past. She smiles and winks. I feel the heat rising in my cheeks, and gulping, I cast my gaze down at the road until I can feel she's gone by. Interesting.
I love how in this story there is a clear interest and understanding in like the Viking Age, Nordic mythology. It's not just, we're going to use Vikings to write some smut. This person clearly has some understanding and a lot of interest in this.
And it's not like, almost a little bit like last week's was a bit like we could tell that the author was like, hey, look, I did my research, but I'm not getting that vibe here.
No. I'm not getting that vibe at all. There's no Spain. And there's an interesting use of the unknown as well, in the sense that we are piecing together a certain amount of history, certainly about the vulva or the role of a vulva. So obviously we've no evidence of drums, but that doesn't mean there weren't drums. It's very likely there were drums, as many people have said. The vulva would come on certain occasions and would be paid to do so. Absolutely. I don't know whether they would be automatically associated with a bloat ritual or a feast. Mags, can you speak to that?
No, because, from what I can tell, it seems like we are kind of... That's one of the... I don't know of any specific examples of vulvas at bloats, but I think that is one of, like, the kind of jigsaw puzzle pieces that are linked together sometimes, where it's like it makes sense
even if it wasn't true.
Sure.
It's not not a stretch.
No.
It's like we can't prove it. We can't say that this definitely happened.
No.
But based on this and this and this, it wouldn't be without, like, outside the realm of reason to argue
and
that a vulva could be there.
And I've done a certain amount of research on vulva for obvious reasons, but it's just the idea that she has her young women who chant for her, something of an entourage, and she is looked up to as this amazing figure who is very powerful and central and desired. And I think that's very good. So we've had an idea that someone has been transported and, there's a connection in the crowd, okay? So...
But can I also just say one quick thing?
Yeah.
Because as far as I can tell, vulva is never explained. They never describe or explain what a vulva is.
Which is in the story, you mean? Or...
Yeah, in the story, meaning that the person who has written this knows what it is.
Yeah.
And is not going out of their way to shove it in your face.
No.
They're just putting it here like, if you know, you know.
And there's enough information that if you don't know, you have an idea.
Yeah. And I also, even the little link to Freya, I think that kind of this idea of like a fertility goddess and it being a story about sex, I think that there are these little things that this person knows a little something. Maybe they listen to the
podcast. I think I associate them more with Odin, funnily enough. I've never heard of a vulva sort of linked with, say, fertility per se, but that may be just my experience. I think.
Hey, Claire, I'm going to tell you something shocking.
Oh.
You know how, like, fertility is, like, linked with, like, women and stuff?
Oh, that, yeah.
So, like, how if vulvas are then women, then they have to be kind of maybe fertility, right? Because girls and periods.
Oh, yeah, that thing. Yeah. Shocking. Mm.
So I just didn't know if you were aware of that. So I just wanted
I kind of forget about all, the chick stuff. I'm a bit dim.
Goddamn girls.
Goddamn girls. Yes.
All right, should we carry on?
So this is quite a cute bit, so I am going to keep reading it. Like, next day, I set up my stall and lay out all the leatherwork that I've carefully crafted over the winter. I'm proud of my work, and my mother is proud of me. Aww. She smiles at me and musses my hair before enveloping me in a huge, warm hug. You've done well, my son. I'm sure all your work will sell these next few days. She looks at me fondly.
That's such a mum thing to say, isn't it? As well,
yes, we love mums. She looks at me fondly before striding off into the crowd. She has business to attend to. She is meeting with the other women in the Guild of Weavers to set prices and discuss their women's business. I stand by my stall for a while, then sit, then stand again. I don't quite know what to do with myself. I'm not used to all these people. And hang on, sorry, I lost my eye place a moment there. I'm not used to all these people. I make a few small sales and I'm thrilled. Then there is a long lull, so I decide to clear a space at the back of my stall so I can work a little while people pass by, looking up every now and then when I sense someone approaching the stall. Suddenly...
This is someone who's sold on a stall before.
I think they've been to a Viking market, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I think that they've sold at a stall, on a stall, maybe at a Viking market, and they know how it works.
Can I say something? I think this might be someone from a relevant community.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel they've been in the same
and
circles.
I kind of love it.
Yeah.
I love how much like soft information there is.
It's great.
Oh, I hope this person messages and lets us know. I hope
so too. Oh, here we go. Suddenly, I feel her eyes boring into me. I seem to have gotten lost in my work, and somehow she is right there staring at me. It's like she's been there for hours, and I only just noticed. I jump up awkwardly, gulping and knocking my tools on the ground. Slick. Her energy is so intense and powerful. I stutter a few words. It's like I'm a little kid. I'm blushing. I can't believe it. She just stands there, smiling at me, enjoying my discomfort. Before I can say anything at all meaningful, she says, "How much is this?" She's holding up a horsewhip that I made. It's my least favorite piece, and I don't know why I made it. I don't like to whip horses. It's unnecessary. I don't know, I say. I wish she hadn't picked it. Is it for your horse? She laughs. Well, it's kind of a giggle. And she looks me right in the eye and says, "Oh, no, I would never whip a horse."
Claire, you have the perfect voice for reading this.
Uh-huh.
It's not the first time I've been told I should open my own sex line.
It's so spot on that I'm just like,
well, thank you.
I'm into this.
Like, I know what's coming, but
you know
like I feel like I'm listening to the story for the first time because I'm like, this is not what it sounded like in my head.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, ooh, you know what? I get this.
I'm glad I could make it come alive. I sense. So this is smart writing, by the way. So she says, she laughs and says, "Oh no, I would never whip a horse." I sense that I have no idea what she's talking about, and I can feel the heat rising in my cheeks again. What is she doing to me? I gulp again and say, "Oh, take it, please. If it's not for a horse, you'll be doing me a favor." "Oh, I think I will," she says, smiling. I have this strange feeling that I've agreed to something more than is being said. I wish I knew what it was.
Oh my God, isn't that just like the neurodivergent?
Oh my God, so many. Yeah, this is very neurodivergent young teenager.
Yeah. Also like just being a teenager, but then also being like, "Oh no, I think there was some like subtext communication here, and I clearly missed it, but I'm now aware that it was there, but I still can't tell what it was.
And now I feel dumb because I'm not actually dumb. I'm just a little dense.
Yep.
Yeah.
My brain just has different screws than you guys.
There's a whole other side to these sorts of things, isn't there? So she says, I like these, holding up my favorite piece of work, the most expensive. I priced them so I wouldn't have to sell them. They're a pair of long leather cuffs, ornately carved with ravens and magical symbols. I swallow hard. Her green eyes are boring into me again. Raven is my power animal, she says. One of them. I realize that it's the woman from last night, one of the Vulva's entourage of singers. I can't believe I didn't recognize her. I stare right back at her, captivated by her blue eyes. Weren't they green before? I'm so flustered. I swallow again. She sets the cuffs back down. No, just take the whip, she says, for now. Come for a walk with me, Bjorn. I realize this is a command, and I must obey it. My stall, you go and take a break, my love, my mother says. She has appeared from nowhere and seems to be stifling a grin. I'm so...
I love this so much!
Yeah,
Molly has clearly noticed and gone and said, by the way, have a go. Yeah, you're fine.
Like, I love how she knows exactly what's going on. She knows how flustered this guy is. She's like, you have fun, my boy.
Also, I wouldn't normally like this kind of thing, but my feeling is this is her way of watching out for him too. Like, she clearly knows this woman is okay in some way.
Yeah, she gets a good vibe.
It's sort of like, go and become a man, my son.
Yeah, and it's a bit like you get that feeling of like, so Bjorn hasn't given his consent to anything yet.
No.
But you do get the feeling that everything around him is safe.
Yes.
That like his mom is giving him the okay go. Like she doesn't feel like he's in any danger.
Yeah, and she kind of wants him to be initiated with a woman who knows what she's doing, and so he can sense the real power of a powerful woman, which is quite sexy, I think, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's all, that's why I think this is why I think this was probably written by a lady. I think it's just very subtle.
I would say like, sure, maybe a lady or a non-binary person, depending. But like someone with like a different perspective than your standard cis het.
Yeah. It's not quite like Mama saying, look at my new maid over there. She's a virgin. Have at it. Which is, would be a legitimate fantasy in some circumstances and not always monstrous, but I just like this better. Yeah,
and but I also get the feeling that if the mom in this story, given we know almost nothing about her, but just get like the few interactions that we've had,
she's fucking cool.
Yeah,
that's what we know.
I feel like if she had gotten the wrong vibe from Bjorn, she would have shut it down.
Oh yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah.
So,
also,
it can't be missed that I think that there are some stereotypes in here though, with the leather cuffs being carved with ravens and magical symbols. That's very kind of not I guess like Viking bro-y type thing of like
it's Odinic tracing.
It's probably the big Visir as well.
And it's a nice if you read about, I mean, I sense that this storyteller knows their stuff. So the kind of queer vibe from Odin and the ravens and knowledge is very nice. He was always a god who walked the fringes.
Yep. So that's true. And also I will say that like power animal, I don't really know what that refers to.
No.
But I don't mind.
Neither do I.
I'm okay with it.
I think what's traditional here is we've slipped into some kind of shamanism vibe, which
100%.
Which is not necessarily, of course, always aligned, but it's compatible here. It's nice in this fantasy world. So
it doesn't, let's put it this way. It doesn't break my immersion.
No, it doesn't. That's the thing. It doesn't suspend disbelief entirely. So you're like, okay, this'll do. So my mom comes back and she's appeared from nowhere and seems to be stifling a grin. I'm so confused. Oh, okay, thank you, I say, and she gives my shoulder a gentle squeeze. It reminds me to take a breath. Thanks. I turn around, only to see the Raven woman disappearing into the crowd. You'll have to run after her, says my mother, chuckling.
It's so sweet, isn't it?
And I do run and manage to catch up with her before I lose sight of her in the crowd. She turns and grins at me. Come on then, Bjorn, let's go to the forest and get away from all this noise and all these people, she says, before turning and walking swiftly away. She's a neurodivergent fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Hurriedly, I follow after her. I have no idea how she knows my name. We're at the edge of the forest before she slows down even a little. She turns and looks at me. I know a little spot by the lake where we can go for a swim, Bjorn. Would you like that? I stutter, taking a breath and saying more confidently, yes, I would like that. Thank you. How may I address you? My newfound confidence suddenly disappears. You may address me as goddess, she says, grinning at me.
All right. You know, I have a comment on this. That I think that I'm trying to put myself in this position. If I was a young man, young adult, let's say, I'm going to put Bjorn at like 18, 19 years old. I don't know what you guys think.
I'm thinking 17, actually, or 16.
But don't they state that quite clearly in the beginning that he is turning 18?
Do they?
Oh, do they?
Or has just turned 18?
Hang on.
Oh, wow. That's so
well
good.
Well done. Good memory.
Yes.
Wow.
Since he was just got 18.
So like
my reading comprehension.
Wow, there we go.
For you listeners who have not been privy to the entire discussion that Dan and Claire and I have had today, this story, like now that I'm re-listening to it, is checking so many boxes in terms of like things we have discussed today. Like there's like subtle things, but like she's also, to begin with, now that they reached the forest, she is asking him subtly for consent. Like she is looking out for his vibes.
Yeah, she's like, would you like that?
She's like, are you into this or no?
Yeah. And but what I was going to say is that for me, as like I put myself in this position at 18, I feel like I think I would be confident, but really I wouldn't be. And if like
I would have been a mess.
Me too.
If a confident woman came up to me and was like, "Do you want to come and you want to go to the forest and have a swim?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I think so." Like, sure, maybe, yeah. And it would be, I'd be blushing. I'd be like, my hands would be shaking. So I think it's spot on in that sense that it is that kind of feel. I'd be like, yeah, because it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'd be, but you
wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Yeah, babe, I'd be down. You wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't have the suaveness of a person who has been an adult in their own skin and is comfortable with it for a while.
No, absolutely. So a little thing about me when I was like, for some reason, when I was like in my between 18 and 20 ish, I always seemed to attract, let's say, older ladies. For some reason, Yes, they took an interest in me when I was a younger gentleman.
Can I just say one thing before you like divulge anything further? Dan, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, good.
I'm good.
Cool. Just checking.
But so I know how terrifying it is because I like it used to like be really intimidating. I'd be like, oh my god, like this lady's in her 40s and I'm young. I'm like, I don't know what to do
and I imagine
here.
I imagine some of them were about as subtle as a brick as well.
Well, that's the beer, isn't it? I think it's because usually it's in those situations.
Yes, indeed. But you must have had a sort of naive appeal. Like you looked all fresh faced and ready for schooling.
It's all right. It's these cheeky cheeks. What it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah. All right. Should we get back to the story?
Oh, do you want me to tell more about this Dom? Okay.
But like since you mentioned the thing about attracting older women, as far as I can tell, we haven't really gotten an age described of this woman.
No, that's true. Actually,
we don't know. Like she's never really described in an agey way, so we don't actually know here. She's just kind of like an ageless, like grown woman.
Yeah.
I think the confidence is why I attributed maybe
No, but I'm not saying you made a mistake,
it.
but it just got me thinking. Like, I don't think we got like
we weren't told,
No,
and maybe that's on purpose. Even maybe we can imagine anything between 5 years older than him up to 10 to 15 years older than him.
Maybe she's immortal.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's Freya.
We never know.
Yeah.
She might really be a goddess.
Should we find out?
Because she said you could refer to me as goddess.
So there's.
I'm just saying.
So basically, I'm going to paraphrase this next tiny bit, just because all that transpires is he tells her everything about his life because she asks, and she seems interested. So she's not just going, yeah, whatever, kid. She's like, oh, really? And she's into it. So they get to the forest.
I find that really sweet.
I know. And so, so trigger warning for anybody. I'm about to start reading the naughty bit. So they get to the edge of the lake, suddenly finds himself alone in the clearing, and she says, take off your clothes. I want to get a good look at you. Her voice is suddenly at my ear, so close I can feel her breath on my cheek and the warmth of her body. I swallow, suddenly nervous and shy and simultaneously hard. She steps away from me and stands...
Clay, you're going to make me blush over here when you're reading this.
But then, isn't that the point?
Do you want me to do a comedy accent? Will that make it better?
No. You carry on. I'm not joking. It's full credit.
She steps away from me and stands looking pointedly at my crotch, the corners of her mouth twisting into a teasing smile. Come on, then, I want to see you. She giggles again. It's like she enjoys tormenting me. No shit, kid. Sorry, goddess, I'm hard. I mumble quietly, my cheeks burning with heat. And she laughs. Oh, you are precious, she says. That's what I want to see the most. And she steps towards me, lifting her hand to brush my cheek. Well, I'm waiting. There is nothing for it. I feel so powerless against her desires, her commands, and yet I'm loving every moment that I spend with her. I start fumbling with my belt and pulling off my tunic. So he gets naked. He's naked in the clearing. I realize my mistake as soon as she bursts out laughing. Oh, poor baby. Do you have sensitive feet? No. She circles around me, watching as I bend over to unlace my boots. So that's the last bit he's left.
Yeah, he's fucked up here.
He's like a naked. He's a naked.
He should have taken the boots off first.
Essentially.
He should have taken the boots off and then the tunic, because there's nothing sexy about a naked man bending over to take his boots off. That's just not a sexy look.
Well, she clearly quite likes it because he's clumsy, you know. So, yeah. She circles around me watching as I bend over to unlace my boots. She stopped behind me for some reason. Oh, but in the air, I've never felt so exposed, but it's making me so hard I'm starting to get wet. Finally, I get my boots off and stand naked and erect in the clearing. Ah, perfect, she says, coming back to face me. And she starts tracing her finger over my chest and arms. You're strong, aren't you? I feel heat.
That's what every guy wants to hear.
Can I also say, like, nice use of the double entendre where he says he stands back up nice and erect?
Yes, erect in all senses. This is a good writer. So I feel...
Yeah,
I feel heat flushing my cheeks yet again. Her finger traces its way downwards across my belly, and then she wraps her fingers round my cock. It's the first time anyone has touched me there, and I cry out with the sheer pleasure of it. I can't believe this incredible woman is touching me right now. My head starts to spin, and I feel her hand on me, gently stroking and teasing. She kisses me on the cheek as she lets go. I look up at her, breathing heavily, and she pointedly licks her finger. You're a little wet, she says. I think we should go cool down in the lake, don't you? She takes off her shoes, unties her belt, and takes off her dress and chemise. I stare at the ground, cheeks burning, but I can't resist taking little peeks at her beautiful body. I hope she hasn't noticed. Then suddenly she's gone, and I hear her splashing in the water. Come on, she shouts back at me, and I run to follow her.
See, this whole section here is why I think this was probably written by a lady. Because if this was a guy, it would be like, she grabbed my cock, and then this happened, and then this happened.
But you're being extremely, like, you're not giving the benefit of the doubt to, like, some male authors are good at this.
They are. I think
but
they're all,
I get where this is coming from, Dan, and I do agree with you to a certain extent. But I will say that, like, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Not all
here.
dudes can not write erotica.
I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong.
You could be, but I think you're likely right. But yeah, let's give them a small benefit of the doubt here.
Okay.
So I'll paraphrase this next bit. They go for a swim. It's all very teasy. Essentially, he's still in this place where he's like, oh, does she want me to look at her? Because he's a sweetie. He's very small. So they swim. He's looking at her naked. There are 2 ravens flying across the lake together, which is clearly auspicious. And she splashes him and sort of jumps on him at one moment and lets him feel her body. And then she says, let's go and dry off. So they swim to the water's edge and they're lying there naked. And I think he's still worried about touching her because she doesn't quite dare. She's still kind of too amazing and intimidating. But she kisses him. Mm-hmm. She says she is tired of being wet and that I am to dry her. She directs me to fetch her linen shawl and commands me to start with her feet. It's such a joy to attend her in this way, drying her beautiful pink toes carefully as though she were a baby. Then she directs me to her arms and back, which I do with equal care, before she directs me to her chest and belly. I can't believe that I'm allowed to touch her feet, let alone her breasts and belly. You're such a good boy, she tells me, so attentive and gentle. I think you will do very nicely. My cheeks flush again. I don't know what she's talking about, but I love how she calls me a good boy. It makes my cock twitch and start to harden again. She notices and laughs. Very nicely indeed. She lies back on the rock and spreads her hair out to dry in the sun. Lazily, she spreads her legs open and directs me to dry her cunt.
That line... That's a bit of a strong word there. She's gone in, or the person who's written this, not she, they've gone in
strong. I mean, it's a funny one. I think cunt's an interesting word because it's kind of, you can see it by equal measure as violent if it's directed in the wrong way, but it can be very sensual depending on who's using it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's such a, for me anyway, it's all different.
Yeah, it's all different.
People have different thoughts to it, but I think for me, it's such a short, like powerful word that even when no matter how it's said, it kind of makes you stand up and go. Ooh. For me, anyway, it just kind of makes me take notice.
Makes you go erect.
Well, no, not erect. Makes me. It grabs my attention. I think it forces that kind of like
Sam. But
that sharp reaction for whatever reason.
But I will actually say that personally, I have the same reaction to the word cock. Like, regardless of how sensually it's used.
Me too.
It always breaks my immersion just a little bit. Just a little. Because I'm like, ugh.
Question to the floor. So this is pure wondering. Does anybody have a word for man bits that they find particularly nice to use? Because I don't know that many.
No.
Cock's the closest, maybe.
I think the two would be cock and dick.
I don't like the word dick very much.
Me
I agree. I think the both of them, they're not the best. But then I think any other one is
That's
quite...
the thing.
It gives the appearance of maybe juvenile if it's like Willy or penis. Like I think they seem quite juvenile and a little more... I will
say my favorite... just because it comes from like the romance genre and it's so like overused is member.
Oh yeah.
That makes me think of Austin Powers too much.
She stroked
just
my
makes
member.
Me think of Austin Powers.
And I'm just like, hey.
I think it's the same with women actually. I mean, I don't know. I think I personally, and this is probably not universal, I get quite turned off by the word pussy. Don't like it.
Same.
Interesting.
I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the go-to again. It's like, what other word is there that isn't quite juvenile?
My problem partly is the separation from the person. I think I've realized that's my problem. It sort of puts it out there on its own. Whereas if you just say you, I'd like to do this to you, that's kind of, I think that's the way to get around it if you're not sure what to say.
that probably applies both ways.
I think it does.
That it's just, I think the suggestion is sexier than the actual word.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even in this story, so much of it, the kind of eroticism is the suggestion of what is next, of what could be. It's not, but then as soon as you kind of say those words, you say cock, cunt, it kind of like takes you out, and you're a little bit like, you remember where you are, and that I'm sat on a podcast and Claire's reading this to me. So I think it kind of it's that suggestion is what is, because you can make it up in your mind.
Can.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
but I also wonder if like this, since like we all three of us have like these reactions to different words, but from the same genre, let's say. I do also wonder if it comes from like the shame culture of how we don't really talk about our genitals in like everyday conversation. Like those aren't words we really use. But if someone is like drying off your shoulder or sensually kissing your like shoulder, hands,
that's fine.
Those are body parts that we talk about without like anyone raising an eyebrow, really. Usually. But like these are body parts that are, first of all, often used as derogatory terms.
Yes.
And then secondly, we're not really supposed to talk about them in like polite society, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a correlation
I think there is.
or like a causality thing.
The extent to which pudenda parts or body bits in that sexual organs are used as derogatory terms, I don't think that's happens. I think that comes from a shame culture. Calling people a dick, cunt, knob, all that kind of stuff is definitely linked. And I think it's sort of seeped its way into the framework so deeply that we just don't notice it until we read stuff like this.
Yep.
For me, I think it, and I can only speak about myself, I think it depends on the situation. Sure. Because there are certainly situations where I'm with somebody in a sexual...
Sorry, Ibsen.
And that noise came at a good time there. I was like, what?
That was a Victor Borge moment right there.
But I think there are certainly times where I'm with somebody where the word like cock would demean a certain amount of power, or it has certain connotations where it would become sexy. I think there are those moments, but they are when you're with somebody in that setting. When it's in this case, we're reading aloud, for some reason it kind of snaps you out of it. So I think, again, words have different meanings based on the scenario. Because I can't sit here and be like, I've never found the word cock or cunt or pussy sexy. Because fuck me, I do, and I use them. So I can't say that.
That's the thing. I think the key for me is if they're used in a forced circumstance where someone clearly doesn't know what to say, and they fall to that language because they're going, this is what people say when they get sexy, and you're like, no, they don't. Yeah.
I think that it has its moments, but it depends. Sorry, Max, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that I think that's an interesting point, because I will say that maybe I'm just wired differently in that way, but those words, regardless of whether it's in a story or if I am, having a sexual experience with someone,
Is that what it is?
These words will always break my immersion.
Fair enough.
Always.
I think I've had that happen with certainly words for penis, and certainly the P word has cropped up, pussy, and I'm just like, oh no, that's no, shrivel, horrible. Mm-hmm. But funnily enough, the C word not so much, and I don't know why. It doesn't.
The C word's okay.
That's kind of okay, and I don't know why.
That's interesting, because usually that's the one that's.
It's also quite
the one to be more careful around.
In Tudor times, Elizabethan times, they'd call it your cunny.
Aww.
That's quite sweet, actually.
Makes it a bit more sweet, doesn't it? Yeah, it makes it a bit more sweet. It's like, oh, that's cute.
Sorry,
how long have I got to regale you with Smut, by the way? How much do I have to... Because I haven't actually got that much left of the story to read, and I'm aware of,
I mean, I'm good for the whole thing if you are,
good for the whole thing?
Yeah, let's get through it, because I like this. I like that this is what I think will work in this format, is that we get a story, we can go start to finish in its own thing. It's done. We all get the satisfaction and we feel pleased at the end, is what it is. We all, yeah,
I
we
wish
all
I could
get.
make that noise. I can't do it.
I know. Max does it so perfectly.
What, you literally just push your lips together and then blow air through it.
No,
I go. If I
that sounds
try,
like
I go.
yeah, that sounds like a sound insert when Max
It
does it.
sounds so good.
This is apparently a party trick I was not aware I had.
Some of us are
All
lesser
right.
beings, you know. All right, here we go. All right, if anyone feeling uncomfortable at this point, leave now. You're such a good boy, she says softly, so attentive. Now, I want you to kiss me and see if you can pleasure me with your tongue. I swallow hard, suddenly breathless. I place the shawl down. Uncertain what to do, I start to caress her soft, strong thighs with my fingers, and she laughs at me again. Are you shy, baby? She asks, before placing her finger on her thigh and commanding, kiss me here. I lean over and place a soft kiss on her thigh. She moves her finger a little further up and says, kiss me here. I place another soft kiss by her finger, which she immediately moves further up her thigh. And here, she says, I kiss her again. You're such a good boy, Björn, she says tenderly.
You know what? So I feel like so many men could benefit from this situation
Rather than just like here's a woman.
trying to figure it out and being like, I don't know what I'm really doing. Is this good? This is a good situation that I think all young men could go through.
Everyone who is interested in doing stuff to a cunt would benefit from this.
Yes, please read and spread and enjoy. You know, you need this is God's work, guys.
Let's just say I would have benefited from this story when I was 17.
God knows I would have benefited.
Nice.
Someday I'll tell you guys about the book I accidentally discovered, which was very feminist porn and which actually changed my life at age 15.
Oh, okay.
And I swear...
You've been holding out on us.
I swear it's the reason... I mean, it's not strictly Viking porn, but I swear it's the reason why I had such good expectations starting out.
Good.
So, emboldened, I trace the path her finger is taking along her thigh with my tongue, and she moans in response. I've never heard a more arousing sound in my life. I want to hear it again. I continue licking and kissing her thigh as her finger traces its way higher and higher until it reaches the crease at the top. I hesitate, breathing heavily. I feel the fingers of her other hand scrunching up my hair as she pushes my head down into her pussy. I'm surrounded by her scent as she starts to grind herself into my face. It is incredible. I cannot think of anything except her, how much I want to please her, how I will do anything for her. She pulls my head back and says, good boy.
That's so funny because you're reading that. All I could think of in my head was good boy. That's so funny.
But can I just also bring back to the bit Mags mentioned where up to this point she has made every check to make sure he's okay with this. So now she can absolutely scrunch her fingers into his hair and push his face in because she knows he'll want it. Mm-hmm. So she releases her hand from my hair and her finger resumes its journey across her body. Kiss me here, she commands, and I bend my head down and began to gently kiss and then lick her wet grass. Interesting metaphor.
Yeah, it is.
Grass?
Grass.
Is that a subtle mention of like time accurate, like non-removal of body hair?
I don't know. I mean, I imagine it probably is. Yeah, we love this.
Because that's something that always interests me in like depictions of, you know, sexual scenes in historical adaptations of stuff where there's not like a speck of hair underneath any armpits for any female characters. And I'm like, you live in the fucking 1400s. Who gave you a razor?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think, and actually, all things considered, I like this metaphor because actually, normally people talk about fur, which is fair enough, but the grass metaphor and the rain and the kind of arousal thing is actually quite an apt metaphor, I think.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
I really like it.
So, yeah, skipping ahead, it's mentioned.
It's mentioned again. So,
yeah, I'm. You two carry on. I'm gonna have to run for a wee.
But then we stop.
No, you guys can keep going. I'll be super fast.
Okay,
I'll
you
run.
Don't fall. He's tripped up the stairs before.
Yeah, I can well believe it. So this, I have to say, of all the scenes to introduce someone to cunnilingus, I love this. So her hips begin to move in a soft rhythm that I try and match with my tongue. Clever. The grass parts, and inside she is soft and wet. I use my tongue to open her all the way up to the top where her lips meet, and she suddenly cries out. I look up alarmed and ask if she's okay. She catches her breath a little before smiling. Yes, Bjorn, see if you can make me make that sound some more.
The consent in this story
is insane.
Is top tier.
Top tier. I don't really understand, but I begin to kiss her gently there, and she starts to grind her hips against me again. Then she pulls her skin up a little with her fingers, and I start to circle her clit with my tongue. That's the only slight pause I had. He wouldn't know that's a clit, but still, I'll pass it.
Yep, same.
No.
I was also like, how do you know?
How do you know? But everything else has been tip-top, so I'll let this one pass.
Yep.
I literally fell up the stairs.
You did, didn't you? He was looking for the clit.
He was looking for the clit.
All right, where do we get to? Okay.
So marking the rhythm of her hips, she starts to moan a little and grabs my hair again with her hand. I guess she's enjoying it. She presses me into her grinding hips as I lick and circle with my tongue. Her moans are getting louder and her hips are moving quicker now. I'm deeply buried in her scent and taste as her thighs start to press against my head. I'm engulfed by her power and energy. I lose myself completely in her, and suddenly she's screaming loudly and grasping my hair. Her body starts to shudder. She holds me still against her, until eventually she lets go, her thighs and hand releasing me as she lies back, laughing a little. I look up at her amazed, her wetness all across my mouth and chin, the taste and scent of her filling my mouth. Come here, she says softly, and I reposition myself, laying my head on her chest. She strokes my hair gently. You're such a good boy. We lie there together for a while in the sunshine. Everything about her is amazing. Her scent, her taste, the rhythm of her breathing, and her hand gently caressing my hair. So, Bjorn, she says, will you come and find me here tomorrow? I can't believe...
Too fucking right, Bjorn will.
I can't believe she wants to do this again. Yes, my goddess. I will, of course, come and find you. Good, she says, as she gets up and starts getting dressed. I watch her put on her chemise and dress, her stockings and shoes, the slightly damp linen shawl. She sits on the rock, plaiting her long red hair. She is truly a goddess. So they walk back and she says, I have to get back. Stay here a while and pleasure yourself. I feel the heat rising in my cheeks again and swallow, feeling awkward. She walks over to me and grasps my cock, which is suddenly erect again, and she rubs and teases me a little. It feels so amazing. Pleasure.
Let's be honest, though. For an 18-year-old, if this happened, that situation, the touch from her would be the end. He's not hanging around to pleasure himself. That single touch from her is the... Max, do you want to do the noise? That's it. That's what's happening.
I love how this accidentally became like a canon thing that we're definitely going to keep doing.
You're going to keep doing that. I love that. This is the soundbite of the podcast. When it comes to...
Yeah, that's it. I need that on my little soundboard over here.
Is it bad that every time you do that, I think, you know that emoji with the 3 drops of water or the sort of...
Yeah, that's what I think of now.
So essentially, he's quite a sensual teenager. I sense this one's going to be a poet on the side. See, because what he does, he watches her go and she says, I'll see you here tomorrow, Bjorn, don't be late. And then he sort of lies back on the rock with the ravens cawing overhead and the soaking up the sun, remembering her body, and he rubs himself off. And he said, remembering how she shook and screamed in pleasure makes me come, and my own groans fill the air. I rest a while before getting up and walking to the water's edge to wash. I sit staring across the water, wondering what tomorrow will bring. There we go.
That
was... little clap. It's my little clap. First of all, this was actually only uploaded a month ago.
Really?
So Claire, we may get another installment of this story, which would be fantastic.
Do you think we might need to reach out to this author and be like, by the way.
Yeah, I think that would be. I might make an account. Well, the reviews it's got three comments. They were all from a month ago. So it seems as though it doesn't say exactly
no, but it says
when
here
it was
that
uploaded.
it was uploaded the 5th. Wait, hang on. Is this American or English date system?
Oh yeah, so I don't think I can see that on the
No, it's in February.
I went. Yeah, it was in February. Yeah, the 5th.
February.
The 5th of
Okay.
February.
Okay, so yeah, so the comments were quite recent. I think it might be worth reaching out to them and be like, "Would you mind carrying this on so we can read it?"
Or just saying, I hope you don't mind. We talked about this on the podcast. You know, we've credited you, but we're just really admiring this smut. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that would be great.
And I just went on to their profile.
Me
and
too.
They've got 7 stories out. And they are all femdoms. And I kind of love it.
Yeah.
They are. I think this is the only Viking one.
This is the only Viking one.
I
don't think it's intended to be a series, but I kind of want it to be a novel now.
No, but hang on, it's not from February. It seems to be from May.
Oh no, that's my reading backwards.
Yes, it's the 2nd of May.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems like it. That's why I was...
Or an American website.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems as though they started their writing career on the 8th of April.
This year.
So they're quite prolific.
Well, I would say they started their publishing journey on this specific site.
Yes, okay, yeah. I'm going to read when I go to bed the worst hand job queer femdom meets her cage boy for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read that one. I mean, I'm so interested by that one.
I'm immediately looking at the temple and 2 velvet gloves.
Yeah, I have loved this so much.
This was better than I ever expected it to be.
Too.
Yeah, so I think when we first conceptualized this is exactly what I wanted it to be. This is kind of how I wanted this to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun. It's silly. We've laughed. It's just been exactly kind of what I wanted. So if you enjoy this, we're going to do more kind of on the Patreon. Yeah, I think this is smack on what we all kind of wanted this to be. It's been so much fun. Just like I say, all credit to the author. I think it's really well written.
Yeah.
They have an interest. It's not just porn for porn's sake. It has that element, but it has like so much more to it. I think it's great. I genuinely
as an
think
academic, as well as a smut reader, I love any writer who is willing to educate in a non-bashing way through their porn. So they'll say, here's some good behavior and here's some amazing smut.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to come. You're our smut expert.
I don't know about that. I think me and Mags are kind of on a level here.
It does seem that way to me, but I will say I am terrified of reading smut after this. Like reading it aloud.
I know, right?
Reading it aloud because Claire, you are the goddess.
Oh, bless. Thank you.
You're so good at this.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you have me sweating under the collar for some moments there, Claire.
Should I start an anonymous OnlyFans and start reading smut and get money for it?
Yeah.
Do you think people would pay?
You say anonymous, but we don't know it was you.
You don't know it was me.
But we wouldn't out her, Dan.
You wouldn't out me.
No, that's true. Yeah, okay, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this has got some good stories, and I really look forward to reading some more because this was a lot of fun because it triggers little memories, and I don't mind sharing stuff from my past and my.
You're an open book.
Yeah, I'm not. I've got some surprises for you. Don't you worry. I've got some. Nice.
Can help myself.
I've got some surprises for you in the locker, I'm sure.
Well,
sure you do.
All right. All right, everyone. Have a lovely
Have a good night. This was so fun.
Go read smut.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Good night. Bye-bye.